Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Got something a little bit different today. So I told y'all from the very beginning, a few years ago, basketball was something I was very passionate about. Something that I played my entire life, watched my entire life. So I'm very excited to be bringing you my first basketball-related video to the channel. Basically, what I'm going to be doing moving forward is that I'm going to be shooting at least 3 NBA-related videos a year. One before the season, one during the season, right before postseason to be exact, and one after the season is over. So this is obviously the one before the season. Yes, I know the season's already started. Unfortunately, I had some stuff come up in my personal life where I couldn't really get to filming as fast as I would like. So it's going to be today. It is what it is, but we're here. That's what matters. I'm excited. I'm super excited. It's something I'm really passionate about. So without further ado, let's get started. So basically the way it's going to go, I'm going to start with last season, give my thoughts on last season. Then I'm going to go into this season, make some predictions. And yeah, it's kind of going to be it. So starting with last season, let's talk about the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. To start the season, I don't know how many people outside of Milwaukee fans had them taking it all. I certainly didn't. Obviously, there are a lot of injuries, and people are saying, oh, injuries are part of the game. Yes, injuries are part of the game, but let's not act like injuries don't drastically affect the game and the outcome of the game, right? So, if I'm being honest, I think the Nets were healthy. They would have taken out the Bucks. But that's not what happened. And I'm not here to discredit the Bucks. They had an amazing season. Sorry, gotta switch arms from time to time. They had an amazing season. Giannis solidified himself as a top 3 player in the league, arguably the best player in the league. But I think from anyone's standard, at least top 3 player in the league. Kevin Durant's up there. LeBron James is up there. You can argue Steph Curry. You can argue James Harden, Kawhi. It's a lot of players, you know what I mean, that you can really put into that spot if you really wanted to. But Giannis definitely solidified himself up there with his performance. Middleton had a great series. He had a lot of clutch shots. Their role players did great. Drew Holiday was so-so, but he had his moments. Bobby Portis was bringing the energy the entire time. So overall, shout out to the Bucks, man. No one saw that coming. It was such a humbling victory. Giannis is just obviously a great basketball player, but a great person as well. He's so humble, he's so kind. So it's really exciting to see him get his first chip. He fought for it, he earned it. Injuries aside, regardless of how I feel about injuries and who I think would have won if that many injuries did not happen last season, he killed it, man, and he deserves all the praise he's getting and more. Absolutely phenomenal performance by the Bucks. Let's talk about the Suns, man. So, Suns, obviously, the other team that was in the finals. That was CP3's first finals appearance. I think that's definitely something that should be celebrated. I know that he's happy about it. You know, loss aside, I know that he's happy he at least made it after, 16 years in the league, I believe. And shout out to him for bringing that Suns organization to the finals. I mean, again, we can't act like injuries didn't exist. But at the end of the day, the Suns and the Bucks made it, man. Whether those are teams on anyone's radar or not, they did the damn thing and they made it to the finals and they competed. So super excited for Chris Paul, man. I'm hoping that he can continue to find success in his later ladder of his career. Phenomenal point guard. Some people think he's the point god. He's definitely up there as far as point guards are concerned. As far as a traditional point guard, pass first, all that, he's one of the best, if not the best. Phenomenal player, super happy for him. Happy he was able to bring that team up there. Happy Devin Booker was able to be on a stage of that caliber. He's been a phenomenal player for many years now. I think he was 20 years old and he dropped that 70 piece. So yeah, super excited for the Suns as well. Wishing them luck this season as well. Let's go into the Lakers and the Nets. So this is the matchup everyone wanted to see in the finals. Due to injuries, that was kind of robbed from us, and obviously other reasons. Like I said, the Bucks and Suns, they did their thing. Who knows what would have happened even if Lakers and Nets were healthy, it could have been the same outcome. We don't know. But if I was a betting man, I would say that those two teams would not be in the finals if not for injuries. But Lakers and Nets, man. Start with the Lakers. LeBron, obviously, known as the Iron Man. You know what I mean? Very consistent player. Usually doesn't ever get injured. He had a groin injury when he first got to the Lakers. Before that, Lakers, I believe, were the 4th seed. Next season, won the chip. You know what I mean? Season after that, gets injured again. Forgot what player dove into his ankle. But we all know what happened. Guy dove into his ankle. Wasn't the same for the rest of that season, including the postseason. AD, from his own words, had a very off season. Was not his season at all. He got injured. You know what I mean? So that kind of took, without AD and LeBron being 100%, kind of takes the Lakers out of the running. Well, that's exactly what happened. So it sucks, but wishing him more success this season. I saw the game yesterday against the Warriors. They did lose, but LeBron looked amazing. AD looked amazing. Everyone else, but we'll get into that. Nets, same kind of story. Injury bug, man. Durant can't do it alone. He almost did. He was literally an inch away from advancing potentially. There was a few seconds left, even if that was a 3, there was a few seconds left for the Bucks to come back. But a lot of people thought that if he was an inch further back, he would have advanced the finals. Who knows what would have happened if that was the case. But Harden obviously was a shell of himself. Kyrie was injured. So again, Nets kind of fell short there. A few other teams I want to touch on from last year. How about the Hawks, man? Hawks surprised the world. I mean, even I would like to believe even Atlanta fans were shocked about how impactful of a season the Hawks had and how much noise the Hawks were able to make in the postseason. Trae Young definitely put himself on the map even more so than he already was. Solidified himself as a clutch shooter, a distant shooter. There's really only him, Steph, occasionally LeBron, obviously Dame Lillard that are pulling up from out there. And he really solidified that, he is with the big dogs. He's definitely a true contender, and the Hawks are a team that should definitely be recognized and should definitely be respected. So shout out to the Hawks, man. They definitely shocked me. Another shocking team from last year was the Knicks. First time in 8 years they even made it to the postseason. So that is something that is just absolutely incredible for Knicks fans. I have both my roommates are Knicks fans. They were going crazy. So I was super excited for them. And their squad, they got together, Julius Randle and them boys. So wishing them nothing but the best. They also played yesterday, and that game was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. But yeah, shout out to the Knicks last year. Hoping they can make another run this year. Let's move on to the Clippers, man. Clippers from last year. So again, injury bug just hitting everybody hard last year. Kawhi was not available for, I believe, all of the postseason, if not most of it. Memory's a little foggy, but I know that Paul George basically brought them to the WCF by himself. Not by himself, but he was the leader of the team. He led the team in scoring, just overall leader in general. Obviously, they had a lot of help from their role players. But the Clippers, man, wish them the best this year. We'll see what's going on. Reggie Jackson was huge for them last year. I think he had an amazing year. So wishing them the best. Him and Paul George definitely went from pandemic P to playoff P. I think it's official as of last year. So super excited for the Clippers, man. We'll see what they're going to do this year. Kawhi is still out until further notice, but, we'll see. You never know. Moving on to the 76ers. Now, this is going to be... Man, this is a touchy subject, man. Where do we even start with this? So, obviously, let's start with what happened. Ben Simmons, Game 7, had a ball right under the basket. 6'10", should have been the easy bucket. I mean, before everyone even started roasting the guy, before Doc Rivers said what he said, before Joel Embiid said what he said, I'm literally watching it live, and I literally felt like a 76ers fan. I'm like, go up! Like, literally jump! Like, sat there with the ball. I think he ended up passing it out and ended up fumbling the play. But yeah, that was a huge L to take for Simmons and the Sixers. We all know what happened after, so I'm going to get into it a little later, but I'll touch on it a little bit real quick. For those of you that don't know, Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid, obviously they didn't blatantly say they lost because of Ben, but essentially they said they lost because of Ben. Obviously, Ben's not going to take that too well, and we all know what's happened since then, which I'm going to get into later when I touch on this season. But, yeah, it sucks what happened to the 76ers last season. Wishing them much better luck this season. The Heat, my Heat. I am a Miami Heat fan. I think I did mention that in more than one of my videos. If not, now you know. I've always been a Heat fan. So we got swept last year. After beating the Bucks in the bubble, making it all the way to the finals the year before against the Lakers, and giving them some heat, giving them some smoke, we did get swept by the Bucks. It sucked. I don't really have much to say about it. Jimmy wasn't playing the way that I expected him to. Bam didn't play the way that I expected him to. Just all around, we didn't look like ourselves. Could have been from the shortened season. Could have been, especially since we went all the way to the finals the season before, or the shortened off season, excuse me. But I'm expecting bigger things from us this year, especially with our acquisitions, which again I'm going to get into this season a little bit later in the video, so I'm not going to really touch on that too much. As far as the Heat in last season, it was very unfortunate. All Heat fans around the world were definitely heartbroken after that. But, you know, I think we proved the year before that we're definitely a force to be reckoned with, bubble or not. And I think we're going to do the same thing this year. And I'll get into that later. Moving on to the Mavs. I don't really know what to say about that team. We all know how good Luka is. Easily a top 5 player in the league, arguably. I think should be in everybody's top 10. Phenomenal young talent. Him and Porzingis, I guess, have not been seeing eye to eye in recent reports that I've been reading. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that situation. But we'll see what's up with the Mavs this season. Blazers. Man, Damien Lillard, dude, he's ridiculous. Watching him last year, I was like, yo. Like, I feel like this happens every time I watch him. Every time I watch Damien Lillard, especially in the postseason, I already have such a high standard set for him, and he exceeds it. There was a game last year. I don't even remember what game it was or what was on the line, but clutch 3 after clutch 3 after clutch 3. And I'm talking like dude shooting from the parking lot. Like, he's absolutely insane. I'm hoping they have success, man. I'm not a Blazers fan, but I'm hoping they have more success this year. I'd love to see them in the WCF. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but absolute monster. CJ McCollum deserves his respect as well. They got a nice little squad. Nurkic, Powell, some of the other players they have. But man, Damien Lillard was just absolutely insane last year, just like he is every postseason. So I'm hoping them success, wishing them success for this upcoming season. We'll see what happens. He did come out with a statement that the trade rumors are false. He does not want to leave the Blazers at all. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that situation. There's a lot of players that have said that in the past and ended up leaving. Look at Kyrie. He literally said in front of a bunch of kids, "Oh, I'm never going to leave Boston." Next season, he's out. So that's just one example. Players do it all the time. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely wishing the Blazers some success this upcoming season. Next I got in here is the Celtics. I feel like they were just dealt a really, really crappy hand, if I'm being honest. I don't think anyone was like, yeah, I'd love to take on the Nets in the first round. Or was it the second round? I think it was the first round, yeah. So first round exit for the Celtics. They played the Nets. I don't think anyone was surprised. Maybe a few Boston fans, if that. The Nets were just ridiculously stacked last season. And the reason I say was because the Kyrie situation is kind of up in the air. They still are very stacked. Just without Kyrie, maybe not as stacked. We'll get into that when I touch on this upcoming season, the season we're in currently. But as talented as the Celtics are, they didn't really stand a chance, especially with Jaylen Brown down. Speaking of Jaylen Brown, that game yesterday was crazy. 46 points for Jaylen Brown. I think 7 or 9 assists, 7 rebounds, or 7 assists, 9 rebounds. Almost a 50-point triple-double from Jaylen Brown in a loss to the Knicks yesterday. Phenomenal game. If you haven't seen it, check that out. But yeah, wish the Celtics luck this year as well. Nuggets. Again, that injury bug was killer last year. Shortest offseason, I think, in sports history, if I'm not mistaken. Not just basketball. I think shortest offseason in sports history. I believe it was like 70 days or 80 days, something crazy like that. They had off for the start of the next season. Nuggets. Jamal Murray was out. I'm surprised. I think they advanced to the semi-conference finals where they lost. But phenomenal effort from Jokic. Definitely proved that he was deserving of the MVP. Just phenomenal big man. He can pass, he can shoot. He spreads the floor. He's a force in the paint. Phenomenal footwork. Love watching him play, man. Him and Embiid are just evolutionary centers, in my opinion. But yeah, sucks what happened with the injuries with the Nuggets. I'm expecting big things from there. Michael Porter Jr. is phenomenal. He gives me almost like a KD kind of vibe. 7-footer with a handle that can shoot. Obviously nowhere near the level of KD, but he is definitely developing at a rapid rate. I'm excited to see what we get from him as the season progresses. So yeah, wish the Nuggets luck as well. We'll see what happens. Jazz. I don't know what it is about the Jazz. They seem to just always fizzle out. Even with the addition of Mike Conley to go along with Donovan Mitchell and them boys, Rudy Gobert. Jordan Clarkson. They have a squad, they have a squad. I don't understand why they get bounced every year, but they do. Best record in the West last year. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. They just seem to fall apart when it matters most, but we'll see what happens this year. Wizards and Grizzlies, man. Wizards don't have too much to say. I believe they got in through like the play-in, or they make a last-second push at the end of the season and made it to the playoffs. Didn't see much from them. Didn't expect much from them. Russell Westbrook did move to the Lakers, which I will touch on when I get to this season. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely a surprise. Grizzlies, Ja Morant's the truth. Let's not sleep. Let's not play games. Ja Morant is the truth, okay? And we need to start putting some respect on his name. In all seriousness, he's just a beast, man. I think the biggest thing about me that I see in him is his confidence. He is so confident. Like that, he literally plays like he is a 10-year vet with like 3 rings under his belt. Like, he is so confident. He could shoot, he could drive, got a nasty handle. We'll see what we're going to see from that squad. But I'm excited to see, every time Ja Morant plays, I'm excited to see him play. Phenomenal player. But that's really all I had to say about last season. Again, shout out to the Bucks. I think injuries did play a large part of the outcome of last season. I understand they're a part of the game, but let's keep it a buck. Injuries drastically affect the game, right? So I do think that, though I do commend the Bucks, I do commend the Suns, I do commend everybody that made the postseason. Injuries did have a lot to say last season, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's get on to this season. I'm very excited to see what happens this upcoming season. I'm even more excited to talk about it, so let's get it. All right, let's talk about the 2021-2022 NBA season. So we're going to start with the Nets and Kyrie Irving. So for those of you that don't know, Kyrie Irving has yet to be vaccinated. And due to a recent change in the New York State mandate for vaccinations, stating that in order to enter any venue or any establishment in the state of New York, you need to be vaccinated. You need to show proof of your vaccination. The NBA Nets Arena is obviously one of those venues. So due to this, Kyrie Irving currently is not playing for the Brooklyn Nets. At first, they stated that they would give him like a part-time kind of role, or he'd be able to play road games, obviously not home games. Since then, they have since retracted that statement, and now they're saying that he cannot play at all. Kyrie did post an Instagram Live that if you haven't seen, you should go check that out. It is on YouTube, I believe. And during that, he said a lot of interesting things. One thing that stuck out to me was that he said that prior to the season starting, he was told that regardless of his vaccination status, he'd be able to play. So if that's the case, I kind of feel for the guy. Regardless of what your stance is on the whole vaccination thing, whether you think it should be mandatory, whether you think it should be optional, if I was told, hey, you can play in the league regardless, and then I'm suiting up, I'm ready to go, I'm hyped for the season, training with my boys, all of a sudden, yeah, about that. I get it, man. I'd be kind of pissed too. Granted, it's not the NBA's fault. It's actually the state of New York that decided to do that. But you know what I mean? It's definitely going to impact the Brooklyn Nets season, man. I mean, they're still obviously a very threatening team. They have Kevin Durant, who, in my opinion, is easily the best scorer in the league. In my opinion, the best player in the league. So any team he's on is a contender automatically. Then you got James Harden. Again, you can argue he's the best scorer in the league. Definitely a top 5, top 3 scorer even. You can get to the line at will. Great shooter, handles off the chain. As well as their role players. They picked up LaMarcus Aldridge. They have Blake Griffin. Patty Mills is going crazy in the game I saw. They did lose that game. But nonetheless, still an amazing team even without Kyrie Irving. So it's going to be interesting to see, A, how far Brooklyn goes this season without him. And B, what happens to Kyrie? There were rumors that he was going to retire if the Brooklyn Nets traded him. That's another thing he addressed on his Instagram Live. He did say that is not the case. He has no plans of retiring. So that's good. I like watching Kyrie play. In my opinion, the best handles the league's ever seen. Obviously, that's up for debate, but that's just my opinion. It's very exciting, electric player. Obviously, he has issues off the court sometimes, but I love watching him. So we'll see what happens with that. Lots of trade rumors going around about where he's going to end up and this, that, and the third. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on that, see what's going on. 76ers and Simmons. Man, this has been the most drama-filled offseason, I think, ever, in my opinion. So if you don't know about that situation, like I touched on in the first part of the video, long story short, Ben messed up in the playoffs. Game 7, literally the 76ers season is on the line. He didn't take an open shot. His head coach, Doc Rivers, and his co-star, Joel Embiid, didn't have the best things to say about him in the post-game interviews. That's obviously going to piss anybody off. You know what I mean? It's going to at least rub somebody the wrong way. So though I don't agree entirely with the way Ben Simmons has handled the situation, not showing up for practice, not communicating with the 76ers at all during the entire offseason, I feel for the guy. I get it. You know what I mean? Imagine, like, put yourself in his shoes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he messed up, he fumbled, but imagine you're literally your co-star and your head coach saying, yeah, I mean, they didn't say it verbatim, they didn't say it directly, they essentially blamed him for the reason their season ended early. That's going to put a lot of weight on anybody. So, like I said, I don't agree with the actions he's taken since then, but I can understand why he is upset, at the very least. With that being said, I'm not sure what you guys have heard, but last I've heard, he was kicked out of practice. He did end up going back. I guess that he didn't realize how much money he was going to lose if he didn't play. So he did end up eventually reporting to practice. And I don't know if you've seen the videos, but if you haven't, please go check them out. They're honestly hilarious. They're literally huddling up. He's in the back, like, dribbling. They're running drills. He's super nonchalant, low energy. Literally everyone else is, like, in their practice gear. He's in, like, a 76ers sleeveless hoodie, some sweatpants. He had his phone in his pocket the entire practice. Like, it's honestly hilarious. Please check it out if you haven't seen it. But what's going to happen with the Sixers, man? They won their first game, I believe, led by Joel Embiid, which is great. I'm happy for them. But what is going to happen without Ben Simmons being there? What's going to happen to Ben Simmons? No one really knows. As of right now, I believe he's not playing indefinitely. That's the word. I believe he is not playing for the foreseeable future because he has back pain all of a sudden. It could be legit. Let me not sit here and act like the guy can't randomly have back pain. It's a real convenient time to have back pain. I believe the entire article said back pain, mental health issues, just not really in a state to where he could play right now. So we'll see what happens. The 76ers general manager did reach out and say that they are willing to play ball with Simmons. Like, they're like, sit out, do what you want. You'll sit for 4 years for all we care. So it is getting uglier by the second. I am here for the tea. I love it. It's great. To be honest, I'd much rather just them come to a resolution and stick to basketball. That's ultimately why I watch the NBA. If I wanted to see drama, I'd go put on, like, I don't know, a sitcom or something. But, I mean, we have drama, and I'm not complaining. It definitely gives us something to talk about. It's very interesting. Everything going on with Kyrie, Simmons, all super interesting stuff. So we'll see what happens. Suns and Ayton. So this is something that's not being talked about as much, but still super interesting. Long story short, DeAndre Ayton thought that he was deserving of a max contract after last year. The Phoenix Suns did not agree. So they did not come to an agreement. I believe they still haven't come to an agreement. I don't know what's going on with the Suns currently and Ayton, but they haven't agreed to a contract last I checked. To keep it a buck, I'm Team Suns on this. You know what I mean? DeAndre Ayton's a beast, and he played relatively well last season. But let's think about a few factors. One, CP3 joined the team. Was Ayton this good before CP3 got there? I don't know. Look back at DeAndre Jordan. When he was playing with CP3 on the Clippers, Lob City, he was a beast. Soon as Chris Paul leaves, who's DJ? Who's DeAndre Jordan? Who is that? You know what I mean? Like, obviously still a decent player, but he was obviously a shell of the person he was when he was with CP3. For Ayton, he got significantly better under CP3. Before him, You know what I mean? And then let's fast forward to the finals, right? Against Giannis, I didn't really see much. Giannis had his way with the Suns in the entirety of the finals. The entirety of the finals. Even the games they lost, Giannis had his way with them. So I kind of agree. I think he should have gotten a very large contract, like something that shows like, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. We want to keep you for a very long time. But a max, I don't know. So I kind of see where the Suns are coming from. Either way, an interesting situation that we're going to continue to keep tabs on. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's talk about my Heat. I am very, very excited for this upcoming season and my Miami Heat. Very, very excited. We acquired PJ Tucker. We acquired Kyle Lowry. You know what I mean? We acquired Markieff Morris. Lots of big pickups in addition to keeping a lot of our key players. We did lose Dragic. Not happy about that. I'm going to be honest. We traded Dragic for Kyle Lowry. But either way, I trust Pat Riley. I trust Eric Spoelstra. I trust the Heat organization. We had a lot of nice pickups this offseason. I'm thinking we can really make some noise. I'm going to make a bold prediction. It might be a little biased considering I'm a Heat fan, but I don't care. I'm going to say it. Heat 2021 Eastern Conference Finals. We going to be there. We going to be there, okay? Yeah. I think it's going to be Heat and Nets. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I don't know, but you heard it here first. Heat and Nets, 2021 Eastern Conference Finals. Let's make it happen. Super excited for my team this year. We'll see what's going on. Lakers. This is one of the biggest moves of the offseason, right? Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. The Lakers now have a big three. Big three. I feel like after yesterday's game, you kind of have to put that in quotations. Not a great debut for Russell Westbrook. I mean, but let's take a few things into consideration. Grew up in LA, has wanted to play for the Los Angeles Lakers his entire life, finally gets the opportunity to do so. The nerves have got to be there. I mean, Russell Westbrook's one of the most confident players in the NBA, but you can't tell me he wasn't nervous going into that game, at least a little bit. Did not play well at all. The Lakers lost that game. LeBron had a phenomenal performance. AD had a phenomenal performance. Everyone else, not so much. Avery Bradley came in there at the end, made some noise, but it was a little too late. So we'll see what happens with that, the whole Big Three situation. I really don't have much of an opinion on it. I would have taken Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's the other option on the table. It was Buddy Hield and Russell Westbrook as far as trades that the Lakers had available to them. Ultimately, they did choose to go with Russell Westbrook. Is it a decision they're going to regret? We'll just have to see. It might end up working out. It is LeBron James, after all. That man has proven time after time that he can do things that a lot of other players can't, including making the people around him better, significantly better. So we'll see what happens. Very, very interesting to say the least in regards to that acquisition of Russell Westbrook. The Warriors. Let's talk about the Splash Brothers. I'm excited, man. I'm not a Golden State fan by any means. I was super salty when they had KD and were just literally cakewalking it to the finals every single year. That sucked as a Heat fan, knowing that we didn't have a damn chance in the world. But I'm excited for them this year, man. Klay Thompson hasn't played ball, at least professionally, since 2019. It is 2021. Had the ACL injury, had the Achilles injury. The fact that he's even coming back to the court after all that is insane. Shout out to Klay Thompson for being an absolute beast, an absolute dog, and just coming back after all that. Those individually can be career-ending injuries. He suffered both of them, and he's coming back like never before. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm excited to see the Splash Brothers back in action. The Golden State Warriors did beat the Lakers in that game I was just referring to. So Steph dropped a triple-double, had a terrible shooting performance. He actually called his own performance trash in the post-game interview, but did drop a triple-double. So pretty cool, the 8th one of his season. And the first one since 2016 for him, I believe. So very interesting game. If you didn't check it, go watch those highlights. Very, very interesting game. And we're going to actually start closing this up with some predictions, all right? So you already heard the predictions for my team. You already heard what I think is my team's ceiling, which is going to be the Eastern Conference Finals. If we go past that, absolutely incredible. Hell, obviously, as a Heat fan, I want us to win the chip. Is that a realistic goal? Probably not. But, we'll see what happens. MVP. It's prediction time. MVP. I think it's going to be someone we're not expecting. You can say Kevin Durant. You could say LeBron. You could say all these players. Joel Embiid. You know what I mean? Has been in the talks for a while now. I'm going to step out on a limb here. I'm going to say I had my guy, and now I'm second guessing it. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say Damien Lillard. Okay? Rip City in the building, baby. Stop playing with me. So, check me out, man. Like I touched on earlier in the video, Damien Lillard has been consistently a beast for at least the past 5 years. At least you have to give him the last 5 years. This man has been balling out of his mind. I don't know why he slept on. Maybe because Portland is a, kind of a smaller market. That could be why. But I think he's going to have an amazing season because he's had amazing seasons. And each season he seems to get better and better and better, especially in the postseason, which is just crazy to me. I think he's going to have a breakout year. I think he's going to play absolutely phenomenal. He just said, regardless of the Trailblazers' record at the end of this season, he has no intention of going anywhere. I think that's something I respect. I'm not one of those people that, looks down on players that, move from team to team or, try out a team for a few years, like, this isn't working and decide to go somewhere else. At the end of the day, the NBA is a business. If the team feels that they would be better off without you, they'll trade you in a heartbeat. So loyalty doesn't really mean much to me in the NBA. Is it cool to see people like Dirk Nowitzki and Kobe Bryant retire with the team that drafted them or the team they've been with for the entire NBA season or career? Absolutely, that's cool to see. But am I going to knock a player for doing what's best for them and their career and their legacy by jumping ship if they feel that they've put in work or that they feel that they're not going to accomplish any success with that team? Absolutely not. I'm not going to look down on a player for doing that. The NBA is a business. The team would trade you before you can even blink if they felt it was in their best interest. Look at Andre Drummond. He was blindsided when the Pistons did what they did to him, and he was not happy about it. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's fair for us to bash players that move around a lot, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, I'm getting real off topic. 2021 MVP, Damian Lillard, you heard it here first. NBA champs. Who is going to take home the Larry O'Brien trophy this year? If I was a betting man, I have to go with the team that has the most talent in the NBA right now. The Brooklyn Nets. I think the Brooklyn Nets, if healthy, it's really not close. Maybe if the Lakers can get it together, maybe, I don't know, the Jazz will get it together. You know what I mean? Because they're such a deep team. I don't know what it is. They just keep losing. You know what I mean? Maybe the Splash Brothers get it together and do something, make some noise. You really don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen with the NBA. But if I'm a betting man, I'm taking the Brooklyn Nets as the 2022 NBA champions. So we'll see what happens with that. Last thing I got here. I know it's been a long video. Appreciate those of you that are still watching, if anybody. Finals MVP. Let's be honest. Kevin Durant. Let's talk about Kevin Durant for a second to justify why I have him as the Finals MVP this year. 7 feet tall. Can shoot from anywhere. Has a handle. Can finish at will. Like, Kevin Durant does what he wants on the court. If Kevin Durant misses a shot, it's because he would have missed that shot if he was open. I feel the defense plays very little factor into whether or not he's going to make or miss a shot. Like, he's so efficient and so deadly of a shooter, and not just a shooter, of a scorer. Like, I've seen him drive to the lane and dunk. I've seen him pull up from way outside. I've seen him cross people up like he's a 6'2" guard and hit the step back jumper. Like, he hits turnaround jumpers like nothing. Kevin Durant his game is effortless, and you can't stop him. You can only contain him to 25 points. If Kevin Durant drops 25 on your head, that's considered great defense on Kevin Durant. In my opinion, if I can make a bold claim here, the best scorer the league's ever seen. I know that's super bold. I know you can argue that. But from what I've seen from Kevin Durant, I mean, it's what other 7-footer is doing what Kevin Durant is doing? Answer me that. I'll wait. Nobody. No other 7-footer is doing what Kevin Durant is doing, man. Even if he was 6'5", doing what he was doing, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what he's able to do. Literally, if he wanted to, could probably average 40. Yeah, but I'm done ranting about Durant. It's already been a long video. Durant, Finals MVP. It's gonna happen. Yeah, those are my predictions. Those are my thoughts on the current NBA season. Thank y'all for watching. I know it's been a long one. I appreciate y'all sticking through to the end. Super excited for this season, man. We'll see what happens. Hope my Heat can make some noise. Let's see what happens with the Lakers. See what happens with the 76ers and the Simmons situation, Brooklyn and Kyrie. It's going to be an interesting season all around. I'm excited to see what happens. I will catch y'all right before the postseason, where I will again make predictions on what's going to happen. That will probably be a much shorter video, hopefully. But appreciate y'all, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.